What's up YouTube? We're carrying on today with a little bit more about some common effects that are used in the Goa-Trance genre. So today I want to cover a couple of effects, most namely flangers, phasers, and formant filters. The reason I kind of wanted to group these three into a single kind of video is because I often end up using these particular types of effects and stuff on a particular sound source, a very simple saw wave. And I find that they're most effective when using this. So I find, this type of technique is also less of a kind of effects processing technique and more of a kind of sound design type thing, because I find, when creating these kind of like phaser leads or flanger leads, it often helps to know, what you're going to do in the end result when creating the actual sound source, like the oscillator and whatever. So anyway, without too much blabbering on, let's dive in and have a look. So like I was saying, what I've done here is I've prepped a low C saw wave. It's just the init patch from Serum. I've actually turned the octave down 1. That's pretty much all I've done. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to just disable all the effects so you can hear what sort of note this is playing at the moment. It's a very low droning saw oscillator, and I've already EQ'd the low end out of it. So a couple of things I wanted to show you guys today, particularly dealing with these kind of very simple saw leads that you can kind of take into something completely different using a couple of tools. So I've already kind of outlined trance gate quite a few times on my channel. I've outlined the Kilohertz as well as the A1 trigger gate, which are really, really awesome plugins. But for this video, I'm actually using a different one. Reason being is the phaser that I'm using here is something that's actually, I think it's pretty new. It's only just been released recently. It's the Bomshanker Music Aardvark phaser. Oops. Okay, I forgot to register them, so it doesn't like bum out while I'm busy with the video. I just quickly added my registration keys and stuff. So yeah, like I was saying, these plugins are actually made by Assimilon from Bomshanker Music, and he's been making Psytrance for a very long time. And these tools are kind of fine-tuned for particular kind of Psytrance sounds. Most of the time, when I find a phaser, it's got a particularly kind of like tame sound about it. I mean, there has been a couple of like really kind of gnarly phaser plugins. But this is really cool because it's very simple and easy to use, and it's actually really well priced considering if you buy it in the bundle with all 3 plugins, but I'm going to get to that just now. So yeah, I kind of wanted to show you guys both plugins in one video, but I'm not going to dive too deep into the gate because I have done a lot of stuff about trance gates and stuff like that. But this one is cool because I don't know if you guys remember what I was saying in the A1 trigger gate video is you don't have control over the exact amount of steps. Whereas here, what I've done is, I believe this is a 13-step sequence. So it's kind of got this polymetric kind of rhythm that never repeats itself until the bar starts over again, which is really cool. It kind of creates these different rhythms. But anyway, I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to dive too in-depth with that. So the really cool thing about this phaser is, you can push it way beyond what a phaser generally does, almost the point where it kind of sounds like a sort of metallic resonant filter using this kind of feedback control and then the number of poles that you've got. Traditional phasers generally only have like an LFO control, whereas this is cool. You can actually set it to manual and then kind of MIDI control your phaser, very similar to kind of like a filter, which is really cool. So anyway, let's dive in and have a listen to what this sounds like. So yeah, like I said, it's got an incredibly gnarly sound, almost kind of resonant metallic filter type of thing that you can get going on here. You can push it up to 64 poles. I found that was a little bit too much. So for now, let's just keep it at around kind of like 17 to 20 or so. So here, let's have a look at controlling it manually over here. So another really, really cool feature here is you can kind of set your minimum and max frequency points. So you can kind of make the most of this kind of filter effect that you're trying to create with the phaser. You know, I don't know if you noticed there, it was kind of going a little bit out of that kind of range at which it was sounding, you know, grindy, and it started to not really have that much effect. So you can kind of fine tune that range to suit exactly what you're trying to do. You could essentially record in automation and draw in your own curves and stuff like that to get more of a fine tune kind of thing. But anyway, I'm not going to dive too in depth over there. So this is really cool. You know, like I said, if you've got a very, very basic sound, to couple it with something like a gate, because then you're creating this kind of like filtery motion and then a rhythm to it. So something like this. I actually only installed this plugin this morning, so it's pretty cool that you can kind of get these really immediate results without having to dive too in depth with trying to figure out what is actually going on there with the plugin. The other very, very common effect that I've heard used in Goa and, you know, a lot of Psytrance and stuff as well, is a flanger, which is kind of similar to a phaser. And I actually like the flanger that's built into Serum, again, because it's got a particularly kind of like gnarly metallic sound about it. I think I have actually outlined this in a previous tutorial. I might be wrong. Yeah, here you've also got this kind of like feedback control that like really overdrives the kind of amount of flanging that's happening. Anyway, let's have a listen to this effect. So this is Kilohertz Snap Heap. I have outlined this in a few other tutorials. Really, really great free host for any of the Kilohertz plugins that you've got. They actually do offer a kind of like a multi-band type of thing as well, but I'm not going to dive too in depth with that. I think I'm going to save that for its own whole set of videos. But Kilohertz Flanger is actually also really awesome sounding. And you've got a little bit more control here than the actual Serum flanger, but it's got quite a different sound to it. So I figured I'm going to sort of show you both of them. So yeah, that one can go a little bit crazy, but it's cool because you can kind of get these kind of pitch shifty kind of effects and all sorts of stuff going on as well, which is really, really cool. So another really awesome effect that's also quite popular within the Goa-Trance genre is a Formant filter. Serum's also got one, but I find that the Kilohertz one has a lot more variation. So basically how it works is it's kind of like trying to emulate the sound of a kind of vocal tract. So how it works is it kind of filters off specific kind of frequencies to get these kind of more vocal sounds. And again, I think it generally works better on a kind of saw wave. And for those who remember the old Delay Llama kind of plugin, this is a cool way of kind of recreating that same sound, I guess. But obviously with more modern tools, as Delay Llama won't work in most 64-bit DAWs. Anyway. So here you can just go wild, tweak it to your heart's content, put, envelope followers, LFOs, all sorts, whatever you want to kind of create this variation. We can do something like this. And change the speeds so that they're doing different things. Okay, let's listen to what this sounds like. So yeah, what I did here is I just removed the processing and just created it all within like a single kind of snap heap patch. So what I can do here is I can actually just save the patch and I'll actually upload it to my Patreons for all my $5 supporters. Awesome, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what kind of techniques you guys are using for similar effects, or what plugins you're using that are your favorite flangers, phasers, formant filters, and those types of things. Let me know in the comments. A big thanks to IDM Mag, proud supporters of the dance music scene and my channel. So if you guys are keen on that and you're not yet a Patreon, head on over to the link that's going to be somewhere on the screen right now. As always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time.